This Easy Gap video series is brought to you by Chico State's Colleges of Natural Sciences and Agriculture and the Center for Healthy Communities. This video is soil amendments. Soil amendments and fertilizers are often used to improve soil health and increase plant productivity. However, they must be used safely in order to prevent contamination from potential hazards. It is important to track and document any application of soil amendments or fertilizer. This provides a record of proper use, ensuring safe food production and an auditable trail. In this video, we will talk about treated biological soil amendments, untreated biological soil amendments, and synthetic or inorganic fertilizers. We will also talk about considerations and steps to take when storing soil amendments, as well as maintenance of storage areas. There are 8 food safety documents you will hear about in this video. You can click on the link on the website to access the documents yourself. At the end of the video, we'll show you how they fit into your on-farm food safety plan. Why is this important? Soil amendments and fertilizers derived from animal materials can contain pathogens such as bacteria and viruses that could contaminate your crops. Fertilizers and soil amendments need to be used and stored properly in order to lessen the risk of contamination. You can prevent this by following proper fertilizer and soil amendment use procedures, as well as documenting what you are using and how it is being used. Use and documentation of biological soil amendments. FSMA has specific regulations for the use of biological soil amendments, which are defined as amendments that derive from or contain animal products. There are 2 types of animal-derived biological soil amendments, treated and untreated. According to FSMA, an amendment is considered treated if the process used meets one of 2 conditions to reduce bacteria to particular levels. Untreated human sewer sludge should not be used in any growing operation. Treated biological soil amendments. If you purchase treated soil amendments, you must have a certificate of analysis or letter of guarantee that shows the treatment process used reduced the number of bacteria to the required levels, and that the soil amendment has been handled and stored in a manner to minimize the risk of contamination after treatment. If you treat your own soil amendment, it must be treated using a method that meets at least one of the 2 FSMA conditions to reduce bacteria to particular levels. Treatment number 1. One method of treatment that has been shown to meet the conditions is static composting that maintains aerobic conditions, in other words, oxygenated, using pipes and fans where the material is maintained at a minimum of 131 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 consecutive days. Treatment number 2. Another treatment method is turned composting that maintains aerobic conditions, in other words, oxygenated, using turning tools at a minimum of 131 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 days total, with a minimum of 5 turnings. After these treatment processes, which ensure the safety of the soil amendment, adequate curing ensures the quality of the soil amendment. Any use of treated soil amendments should be documented in your log. However, FSMA does not have any restrictions on the days between the application of treated biological soil amendments and harvest. Untreated biological soil amendments. For stone fruits as well as other crops that do not touch the soil, you must wait at least 90 days between application of untreated soil amendments and harvest. Any use of untreated soil amendments should be documented in your log. Make sure to include the application date so that you can determine the earliest acceptable harvest date. Synthetic or inorganic fertilizers. For any synthetic fertilizers that you use, you should have a certificate of analysis or letter of guarantee for the product that includes all of the ingredients, including inert substances such as fillers. All synthetic fertilizers need to be incorporated into the soil or applied according to the product guidelines. Any use of synthetic fertilizers should be logged and include the product identification and any details for its use required by the product label or manufacturer, for example, the concentration, total amount used, or application equipment. Storage. Storage areas for both inorganic and organic fertilizers should be designed to prevent contamination of both growing areas and water sources. Fertilizers and soil amendments should be stored considering the potential for contamination if leaks, spills, or runoff was to occur. Tarping or storage under covers can be an appropriate storage method for dry fertilizers and compost. For liquid fertilizers, it is especially important to consider the risk of leakage into nearby water sources and crops. Documentation. Your written food safety plan should include an SOP for any treatment of biological soil amendments. Your treatment logs should include the details of the treatment process, for example, temperature checks and turning, staff name, dates, curing details, and batch identification information. If you use treated soil amendments, you should have an SOP for their use and a log documenting any applications that include staff name, application date, amendment identification, application location, and application method. If you use untreated soil amendments, you should have an SOP for their use and restrictions, along with the logs documenting any application that includes staff name, application date, application location, whether or not the crop that is being used touches the soil, waiting period required before harvest, the earliest harvest date, and the application method. If you use synthetic fertilizers, you should have an SOP for their use and a log documenting any applications that include staff name, application date, supplier ID, application location, and details required by the product label or manufacturer directions. In addition to having safe practices when it comes to applying soil amendments and fertilizers, it is important to keep a record of these practices and make sure any certificates and documents are up to date. This would allow you to trace back any problems if needed and give your buyers confidence in your product and protect your business. All food safety policies and procedures should be developed using national, state, and local guidelines. Therefore, no responsibility is assumed or implied by CSU Chico Research Foundation or CSU Chico.